how's everybody doing this afternoon? Following up on my earlier point about the sovereign servant stealing holes, see, I remember this conversation from yesterday. It steals particularly, so like the Battle of Camden analog sequence. Yeah, I mean there are. I want to say like when the Swedish are advancing. Isn't it almost the same sound as when the British advance at that battle? I'd have to watch both again to be sure, but I do dunk on both films in my in the book talks that I've given for Infantry in Battle. But it is interesting to think that both of these modern depictions of 18th century warfare are stealing from each other, in addition to being bad history. I was thinking about playing as Prussia today. I had an Austrian campaign going that I really enjoyed yesterday. Maybe it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to play as Austria when we talk about Prussia. I don't know. Well, I'll load Austria up until people start telling me to play as the Prussians. No, I mean the audio from the night battle, the shots in the Sovereign Certain are basically blowful. Yeah, absolutely. And I want to say, aren't they like playing the same music in that sequence? The audio from the night battle. Yeah, I'd have to watch both films again. But I mean, is that just a point you're making about like the shoddy craftsmanship of Russian filmmaking in the 21st century, or is it? Yeah, I guess it's bad that they've plagiarized this. I don't know that I necessarily see. Like, is the audio out of place or something? Or... Yeah, I know, and I think in Gladiator they were very open about admitting that, right? I want to say in the audio commentaries on Gladiator when I watched when I was like 10 when Gladiator came out, they basically said, hey, we were just stealing from Zulu. Yeah. I mean, Ryan, you've seen what I've said about the recent Napoleon film. I mean, it's a real shame. The Duelist is one of the most beautiful movies. I think one of the best Napoleonic movies, one of the best movies set in the 18th century. It's more like Barry Lyndon. Oh, great, Oliver! I'm glad to hear that. Which episode do you want? Let me see what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to raid 3 settlements, so that's fun. And dismantle 5 slums. Okay. Oh, let's go in here. I got no money, but a nice army. And I've been renaming some of these units without you, Ryan. But let me know if you have some units that you want me to load up here. Movies are stealing from other movies. It's a tale as old as time. Yeah. I mean, I was raised in the American Midwest, so they told me always to not say anything, or to say nothing rather than say something not nice. But I guess, considering the nature of the film and what's going on there. I mean, is in where it's being made in the world. I'm not sure that I think what happened with the Sovereign Servant and the Patriot is so surprising. The most surprising thing ever. Do I have sabers for everybody in the Irish, like, stock? Up to the Irish brigades. Well, we already have sort of 2 Irish-themed units, so I'd love to. I mean, I've got to bring these Hungarians over in here. That's going to be the next. As soon as we get $1,200, or $1,200 even, we'll go ahead and try to do that next, I guess. Where am I? I'm in Breslau. Yeah, I am invading Silesia, so I guess I probably wouldn't make the Archduchess very happy, but I'm going to have to try to burn down some of these towns. There's Glatz. Glatzia is more in the south. That's nice. Well, I really don't want to burn down Breslau, but maybe we'll go fight this guy instead. Yeah, I have. I was just thinking about. I mean, I'm a huge Forrest Whitaker fan, and have seen last game. I mean, I think I saw it in high school, so it's been a while. But I have seen it. Yeah. Did they steal something from someone else? Oh, come on. They can't all be Irish, can they? I guess maybe this will be the most Irish army that ever Maria Theresa put together. I chose young Modena for the other dragoon regiment, besides for, of course, Herzog Joseph, which is already named. But maybe if we get another, were there any Irish cuirassiers? Maybe O'Donnell was cuirassier. I seem to recall them being dragoons. I can't recall. I'm ironing after. Oh well. Ryan, are you one of those people who's still bitter over the Hanoverian succession? It's been a long time. Best to just accept the fate of the world and move on. They didn't steal any audio as far as I can recall. No, I just asked about movie opinions from live streamers, including various ex-gangsters. I mean, I had my Uncle Vince was in the mob, but I hope, but I'm not in that category. So what questions do we all have about the Prussian Army? That's more of what I'd hope maybe to discuss with you all today. Who have we got? Grenadiers, musketeers. Freihochsar. So the got some nice artillery, but maybe their cavalry is not anything to write home about. Oh, excellent. Apart from instant, so I need to be careful what I say. I have always been partial to Prince Henry's Fusiliers. I think the uniforms are very nice. It's got an odd or mixed reputation in the war. I guess that's true, Ryan. Yeah, trying to find a pub that takes these sort of things seriously is a win in and of itself. That's good. Okay. Well, maybe Deutschmeister should come back here and wait behind this, considering how far we've already come here. Where'd the guns go? Did I leave the guns back here? Yeah, I did. Okay, great. We'll bring them up. Okay, guys are outflank. Oh, yeah. Great question. So for my part, I'm very partial to August Wilhelm von Braunschweig-Bevern. He gets a bad rap for what happens at Breslau in '57, but I do think he's one of Frederick's better commanders. I mean, if you look at what happens at Reichenberg early in the war, and then I want to say he commands the cavalry at Reichenbach late in the war. He sort of undergoes sort of a rehabilitation of his reputation, but they're popping off here. But yeah, I would say, Henri, Keitz, Seidlitz, or Keith, I guess we would say in English. They're all sort of the big. I like Schwerin. I will say for Prime and Load this summer into fall, I have really enjoyed getting reacquainted with some of the commanders from the War of Austrian Succession, folks that we don't think of a lot from the 7 Years' War. So that's been kind of a treat, being able to think about kind of operational history from not a generation, but maybe a decade earlier than I normally do. Okay, so they're charging here. Seems bad. Frank War Hussars there. We don't seem to have any enemies to this direction. So getting back to you, Gaslight. Some other favorite Prussian regiments from the 7 years. I've always really liked 6, which is of course the old giant grenadiers. They're not really the giant grenadiers anymore by this point, but I think of all the grenadier units in the army, I rather like them as opposed to some of the converged grenadiers that you see. Let's just go ahead and come in here, or maybe here as well. How are we doing over on this flank? Not great, if I'm being honest. isn't there a tough French sound? Oh yeah, Baron de la Montfort. Yeah, he's great. I don't know necessarily fights to the last man, but he gets wounded several times at the Battle of Landeshut. He's a great guy. I mean, if we're not going by importance, but simply like Alex's favorite Prussian general, the answer is definitely Johann Dietrich von Hulsen. I love Hulsen. I mean, he's like 60 and is just. I mean, there are maybe even signs by the end of the war that he's got struggling with early onset Alzheimer's. But he's just a kind of a tough old guy and continues to, through the 1760 campaign, as I wrote about in the edited volume for Army University Press, just is one of the better independent commanders that Frederick, maybe doesn't trust, because again, I think there are questions of like, is he completely all there? But he's a man who is hanging on and does quite well at Strela in 1760. Okay, how are we doing here? Let's come in from the back and attack these grenadiers with the cavalry. We're not completely just out of luck here. All right. Excellent. Oh, well, who's all here today? Obviously, we've got Ryan coming in from the UK. Are you based in London, Ryan? I mean, I assume you are, based on where I've seen you over there, but any folks in the States? This is Sasho. Like Sasho from DC? Or I mean, I know, and I guess I know a couple of folks who could fall into that broader framework. Yeah, I can figure out for your username. The Notorious Amp. Ah, good. That's great. Now that you say it, I know a lot more Sashas. So maybe if you are the Sasho I'm thinking of, in DC, you might be the only one. Yeah. Oh, I thought it was something to do with a guitar. Okay, that's delightful. Okay, well, yeah, good to have you here. I saw you dunking on some idiot about like casualty figures on Twitter yesterday, and was very delighted about that. Okay, we should be finding this stuff instead. Where are they at here? Excellent. Well, Ryan, you got those other units for me. Hey, hopefully you're not ordering Dr. Summerfield's books just because I'm streaming the Austrian Army. Although I guess in this economy, any book sales I can generate for people is an absolute win. Oh man, that's a lot of money. Anyone here actually knows how the game works? I had a guy last night, the Senate. He was really helpful. Money or people or veterancy. I'm thinking I'm leaning towards money because we need to unlock those Austrian or the Hungarian grenadiers. Long-time listener First time caller. To what degree? Yeah, that's a great question. So it kind of depends on the Army. What sort of training you're doing as a whole. The British are doing lots of independent tactical unit training because they don't always have the collected manpower to do a whole bunch of like brigade or larger encampments. So that starts to get fixed in the War of Independence, as you see, like the is it Warley Camp? There's some camps down near Maidstone in Kent that actually went and looked at what was left of them in 2019, I think. Okay, I gotta keep moving here. So money or people or veterancy. I'm thinking that I've got a lot of people who are dead here. We're gonna need those reservists. Let's do that. I'm excited to see Dave Watson's new book. I was just talking about Brian Davies' the book on the Russo-Turkish War last night. So it'll be nice to have a companion volume to that with Watson's book. And obviously, as someone who's both a historian and a war gamer, it's exciting to see his perspective on this kind of stuff. Down to 98 extra men and 0. Items aren't worth as much as expanding your army as quickly as possible. Sell items early to get access to even 3 or 4 brigades. Remember to unfix bayonets to improve accuracy until you charge. Yeah, but I think we both know that's not very historical, right? So I doubt that I'll be doing that, Ryan. Unfixing going into battle with bayonets unfixed. I mean, what kind of army are we running here? Okay, let's go back to Breslau and buy some stuff or sell some stuff. I was just having that conversation with people on Twitter earlier in the month, maybe about bayonets and whether or not they were ever unfixed or unfixed, because it's something it was in relation to the new trailer that came out, young George Washington or whatever the movie is. I'm skeptical. All right. Selling all of my nice muskets. It's still not getting enough for that extra brigade. I need 1,200, right? And I also have to buy ammo. So we'll get rid of the horseshoes. The Hungarian horses, but you hate to sell Hungarian horses. Do I even have enough to do it if I sold everything? Yeah, probably. Okay, well, this was a dark day for the army, but needs must, I guess. The shop does not have enough. Oh yeah, because they only have $500 total. Well, man, we need more modern financial systems here for the Central European towns. Oh, really? Yeah, I mean, definitely blue, right? I mean, he's painted in blue post-war because he's very proud that he was wearing the Virginia provincial coat. I want to say that painting is 68 that's done. Okay, so just do you get better prices if you go to the specific shops where things should be sold? Does anyone know, or does it just kind of make sense to try and sell everything where it's at? So here it's $60, which is the same as the town square, but I guess it means that we're eating up less town square money, so we'll start there. Okay. That, and also buy that, and get our grenadiers. All right, right. Ryan or anyone else who wants me to. Yeah, but isn't he depicted in the blue coat until in like during the actual fighting on the Monongahela in that film? I guess it is in it like starts at Fort Necessity and then he goes back, and then he meets up with Gollum to go and drop the ring into the forts of the Ohio or whatever it would be. Yeah, I would be. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to really look into it a bit more. To me it looks like the coat that he's wearing is just like a British regimental like officer's coat. Which I guess he could have gotten from Braddock's staff. Well, it is, isn't it? Right? I mean, I'm been horrible with names. I'm talking about Hulson having dementia. Maybe I need to get checked myself. Whoever played Gollum, Andy Serkis, is Braddock in this film, and so that's why I'm making that joke. Okay, we've got Esterhazy. We can't promote them. Torchmeister. Can we? No, we're already up at the top of the list here. Okay. All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and give me a. Hey, did you say McGuire is who you wanted, Ryan? As far as the Fusiliers. Look back up and see. All right. McGuire. Let's see if that is an appropriate one to use here. '46. Are they already they've got the right uniform, because it seems like a lot of Austrian regiments have red facings. But let's see if we can change the banner. Like this, yeah, incredible, and that's about right. Yeah, great. That was easy. Alright, excellent, excellent, excellent. Dark blue. Really? Are you 100% confident about that? You think Kronoskov is wrong? It's possible, I guess. I mean, the Albertina definitely shows them in dark red, but maybe you've got different info. Excited to see. Okay, back to work. Probably should buy an officer at some point, but I've already sold all my stuff, so looks like we're gonna be skipping that for the time being. Digby Smith has them in dark blue. Yeah. Well, I think I'm gonna trust the Albertina Handschrift. But I'll look into it maybe after the stream and see if we can't get any Rescue one recruit infantry regiment. So we don't have more. Yeah, indeed, indeed. Abandon our allies in need. That's always worrying. Feed the detachment. 2 days pass. 7 days pass. I don't really going to give up all my food here, so I guess 7 days pass. Because I'm told there's no benefit to not have it, like, to speeding through the campaign. That you're just supposed to play till the enemy army comes and hunts you down. Which I don't know how I feel about that, but oh, excellent. Let's go burn down Hennersdorf. They already don't like us, so their reward will be destruction. Ooh, I don't know about all the screaming in the background when you burn down the villages. It doesn't make you feel great. Probably good to have. Ooh, burn it. Withdraw and quarantine a plague village. Well, likely chance. I'd probably take moderate. Yeah. That seems. We're. I mean, Gerard von Swierten is in the army. Is he not? Oh, excellent. Just what you're hoping for. Why can't I have this? Because I need more reservists. What do you think? No Frenchmen and no Freikorps, but I could have Grenzer, Cossacks, or Germans. Yeah, it does. I mean, like, shady stuff went down in the 7 Years' War. But even when villages were being pretty strictly requisitioned, I'm not sure that there was. Well, yeah, I don't know that there was a lot of. I mean, maybe the children are screaming because we're slaughtering their favorite pig to feed the army. That's what I'm going to choose to believe. What are Frederick's favorite regiments? Germans, says Ryan. So maybe we'll take a. Well, yeah, substitute recruit. Clearly. I guess I just thought that was probably going to give me a Bohemian, but that's gotta break some eggs to make an omelet. Andrew, you're in my class. I don't know that it's safe for you to be advocating for war crimes here on this stream, but maybe some of the other anonymous usernames could do so. Saxons or Bavarians, but why not Württembergers to make Peter Wilson happy? What if we could get Peter Wilson on this stream? That would really be a coup, wouldn't it? Okay, let's get the substitute troops. Okay, up to Hirschberg. So what are Frederick's favorite regiments? Either those he preserves or those he uses as reliable firefighters in a crisis. Yeah, so it's going to sound like a broken record here, but Itzenplitz obviously is one of these. After the 7 Years' War is done, he gives them the privilege of being able to march directly behind the guard, kind of out of their numerical order in parade, but perhaps more importantly, I would say Manstein, which is like 17, I want to say, is another one of these really good or crack units. I don't necessarily know that. Besides, for a few of his favorite, can we make the Württemberg banners? That's the question. Maybe I don't know. We'll have to see. I mean, we can't even make dragoon banners, so I guess we'll have to find out. Well, I was able to. I've got Rotwürzburg in here, so you can do some banners. Maybe we'll just have to pretend they're Kreistruppen or something like this from the Empire. Well, slaughtering some more pigs, and the children they hate to see it. Okay, so we're doing well. We're getting where we need to go. Is there anything in this direction besides that outpost? I guess we can just go up. And what's the worst thing that could happen here? Oh, nothing. We don't have anything that we need to do, so we'll have to come back this way. All right. Oh man, winter is coming. Winter is a month off. All right. Well, um, you love to see it, I guess. 2 out of 3 settlements have been raided. I don't know that I want to really be stuck out here in winter. Maybe we should run through the end of this campaign and get to the third act where everything is like the sky's on fire. Okay, man, that's real cheap. I feel like I can just afford reservists for days. And then we probably need a lot more ammo too. But man, that reservist price is just incredible. And the food's not bad either. Alright, let's look at our... Who needs some iron ramrods? How about our subsidy troops? Or maybe it'd be better to give them to the grenadiers. Yeah, probably the grenadiers with the iron ramrods. And the Württembergers can accuse us of favoritism. All right. Should I buy more food? Food is, I guess, the big crisis in this act. Right? Isn't that correct? I could buy like so much more food. Yeah. All right. We're gonna be fed for days. Okay. Oh, here comes somebody. Yeah, let's go get him. My. I really should buy some more officers too. Maybe I shouldn't have gone willy-nilly with the food and done that instead. But hopefully we'll have plenty of money to do that with here in a second. Yay. Marching out order. One of the neat things about World War One is a lot of the see shifts in unit preeminence over time. Yeah. I think that's probably true in this period as well. A lot of the East Prussian units sort of, and basically anyone who was at Maxim, which is a little bit harsh. Gets on Frederick's. Well, I was going to say something that I probably shouldn't say on the stream, but get on Frederick's naughty list, I guess we'd say. As a result, they struggle for much of the rest of the war and get put in the army that's in the Saxony as opposed to the ones under his direct personal command. All right, let's keep the Grenzer in the forest. The hardly proceed. Yeah, indeed. And I will say, Prussia is also kind of weird because everything that happens in 1806 kind of disrupts some of these unit lineages. Okay. Frequently, as opposed to favorite units, 18th century commanders will have favorite regions that they like or dislike in their forces. So let's keep the new guys kind of back. So Frederick will like the Pomeranians and not like the East Prussians or the Berliners or something like this. Go a little Russian. So there's certainly there was actually an article that came out maybe in 2017 or 2018 that talks about this a little bit. I don't know that culturally it becomes very Russian. I think that the elites in Königsberg are okay working with the Russian military administration. Which Frederick doesn't love, but I'm not sure that there's a huge crackdown, on ordinary people after the war. And I mean, probably the most annoying thing from the East Prussian perspective is when Peter III does his whole thing, they immediately have to start like shipping recruits back to the army again. And so a lot of the the Prussian recruiting parties are active in East Prussia almost from the moment that Peter III drops Russia, and not out of the war. That's wrong way saying it, but brings them temporarily into the war on the Prussian side, which is an interesting. I think there's a. I don't know that we could write this book because the archives have been blown up. Maybe it's something I'll work on. There's probably a book to be written or an article to be written that argues that the Prussian army manages to survive 1762 because of all the recruiting that happens. Like the Cantonists that they have access to now that this East Prussian occupation comes to an end. I don't think I've seen that church before. That's great. Really cool. How many of y'all in the game? I mean, obviously I know Ryan owns the game, but and Andrew, you do if you're still here. But Sasha, you played it at all yet? What do we have here? Oh, Oliver, I'm sorry to hear that. With a warlord in a wage case. Not kidding. Oh, that's fascinating. Okay, well, best of luck on that. Well, Andrew, I was just wondering if you played the game yet, and obviously you do because you played the demo, I think. Oh man, that's a great question. How are you doing in War Thunder, Andrew? What you're an American 8.0, something like that. So to your question, Ryan. A doctoral candidate comes to you with unlimited funds for travel and translation. What subjects with Prussia and Frederick would you like to see explored? This is a really good question. I guess I would say there'd probably be stuff in German history that I would like to see them explore. Maybe beyond just Prussia, but we need way more work on the army and the even like just the time of Frederick William I. So I'd love to see a study of the Prussian army in the War of Spanish Succession. I think that might be number one on my list. After that, I'd like to see a study of Frederick and his generals. I think you get a little bit of that with Adam Storing's work, but I'd really like to see something like Elting's Swords Around a Throne, but for the Prussian army. I think that's a major gap that we have in the literature moment. I mean, we have a very, very old biography of Prince Henry, but we don't have like a short, okay biography of Field Marshal Keith. But we don't have a lot on the Prussian officer corps besides for like stuff from the early part of the 20th century or the late part of the 19th century. I mean, you have like, is it Kurt Priesdorf's, like Soldatisches Feuilleton or something like this? That's a short summary biographies of all of the Prussian generals. But there's not much analytical, and some papers from the Prussian officer corps does survive. Man, I'm getting chewed up over here on this flank. Wallace is not doing great, and they are in 100% cover, so that's discouraging. Let's maybe feed some more guys into this area. Torchmeister is not in cover, but they're not getting chewed up. Kind of a funny old world, man. King Tiger's at 8.0. That seems pretty high. But I guess probably they could be. Yikes! Let's get them out of there. Maybe we'll get them while they're still in the river. Yeah, it looks like it. Well, very exciting. But yeah, so something I'm actually thinking about, and this is going to be like a decades away project. Maybe not decades is harsh, but I really want to look into Prussian logistics in the 7 Years' War. And so if a bright young doctoral student came and said, "Hey, what do we need done?" That might be an area where I'd put it. Specifically their use of barge transport on the Oder. Something like Demeter on the German officer corps. Yeah, excuse me. And it was in one chapter of Peter William Quadra. Oh, well, that's fun. Did you know Michael Howard? Here we go. They're really coming over here in a hurry, aren't they? Where did the cavalry go over on this side? Did I get them killed without noticing somehow? No, they're still behind the lines. Okay. Man, those hussars are fast. Really quite something. I had played a game earlier on in the demos version where oh, that's cool. I'm glad you were able to pick those up. Where but some fluke, like a Austrian unit of Hungarians or Croats were able to equip 3 speed-related items, and it was almost like you were facing loping werewolves that were coming across the battlefield, and they were just absolutely insanely fast. I haven't seen that in the final version of the game, so I think maybe that has been resolved. But it's sort of funny the different possibilities that these the buff granting items can give the units. Alright. Maybe we could just go charge their artillery with our cavalry here. I wonder whatever happened to Wallace. Are they just gone? Yeah, looks like it. No, they're not. They're still here. Oh, wow. Somebody's definitely getting the Order of Maria Theresa for this. All right, here we go. Yeah. A lot of folks have been complaining the game is too hard or too easy. Where do you all sort of fall in this lineup? Am I about to get completely impaled on those spikes? Looks like it. Oh, maybe not. Good thing they didn't fire canister there. General can chase surrounding units and often reform them by his presence. Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? Frederick tries that at Molowitz. Orthogonal complaint, but I think it's too fast. Okay, say more, Sasha. All right. Well, there you go. Another victory over those dirty Lutherans. Definitely more of a fan of the Ultimate General Civil War type pace. Do you mean the tactical battles or the campaign interface or like both or like what? Is it a lot faster than Ultimate General Civil War in the tactical battles? Maybe it is. I don't know. Okay. I've got plenty of reinforcement people as a result of my spending spree. I probably have enough ammo. Should I go? Provisions? Tactical battles. Yeah, interesting. Because it is a bit faster. Do the units move too fast? Or just the resolution in combat is too quick? Or all of the above? Okay. Alright, let's refill. And refill again. And go up to Reichenbach, which is... Oh my. Okay, not go up to Reichenbach. Never mind. I was just kidding with that. Okay, but we still got the good prices here. So that's great. I'm a big fan of that. Okay. Okay, yeah, cover. We gotta give that one out for sure. And I feel like Fullard I'm just gonna sell, which will doubtless make any French mains just see red. Total War's more response. Yeah, I think you're right. Okay. So maybe I should take away the haversacks. I'm sure the men won't care about that. I definitely won't have any mutinies as a result of this. Okay. Hey, Ryan or anyone else want to pick me some various Grenzer units to put these men into? Anyone who has a favorite Grenzer? Turn them into Grenzer Grenadiers, I guess. I might just leave them. Make them Grenzer Sharpshooters. Okay. Who else could we possibly promote? Not them. We need almost there on the Crossier. Almost there on Grenadiers. These guys are still kind of learning. We didn't really even fight very much with them. Okay, let's buy some more ammunition. 3 times maybe. And buy some more. You can't beat that price on food or on reservists. And then I guess go do this again. Okay. Yeah, I see 60 there as opposed to 30. That's nuts. How much is it? $2,400. How do y'all make money in this game? Just all raiding villages? I suppose that's probably what I'm supposed to be doing, right? I appreciate you very much, Ryan, but I'm almost positive that I already have. Is this the same St. George? Yesterday on the stream, I put them in for All Saints Day, so I think that's probably the same one, but maybe not. If it is, let me know. And I guess I could have two, but let's see if we can find a Grenzer here. Oh, this is not what I'm looking for. Okay, what about I think I have these guys in miniature. I'm probably partial to them. I had someone request these fellas the other day in a different Austrian stream. Kreutzer. That would be basically the same uniforms as St. George. What do y'all think? Yeah, Sasha, I appreciate you looking out for me. As far as we can tell, all voluntary donations have been for the cause have been made out of pure free will. That's right. That's right. There's a pretty famous story of the Russians raiding Berlin. The Austrians raiding Berlin in '57, I want to say, and as a result of the raid, these guys are basically already like the Overchana, I think. Am I spelling that right? Nope. But I would actually make it the Kreutzer, right? So this is Warsteiner Kreutzer. Where the as Christopher would say, the good guys, the Austrians, raid Berlin, and you have obviously a dollar amount or a taler amount set on, this is how much Berlin is going to need to contribute in order to not be sacked, sort of getting us back around to Sasha's point. And one of the things they demand is 10,000 pairs of gloves from Maria Theresa or something like this, and the Berliners only provide one-handed gloves, and so for a time in the Austrian military, it was common for officers only to wear gloves on one hand to sort of represent the Empress receiving gloves of only one type when they raided Berlin. Horseshoe was good. I feel like horseshoes could be more useful than cross pendants in this particular instance, or maybe we'll leave the cross pendants but take the T, and maybe give the T to our subsidiary recruits. Yeah, what do the Württemberg flag look like, Ryan? I guess I gotta pull it up here on Chronoscope and we'll find out. Württembergers, lion green. Let's pick what's the one I have in the basement? True chest, right? Yeah. Oh yeah, this could be challenging. Anything at all like this? Oh, man. Oh, so it's they're I guess the British is who we were working with as far as the flag designs, because they're supposed to be subsidy recruits. That doesn't seem like the furthest thing off in the world from what we were just looking at, does it? Let's scan them. I mean, it's not, obviously, but I feel like It's a horseshoes and hand grenades kind of situation. We're just gonna call that good and slap a red background on there and say that it's what we're looking for. Okay. All right. Back out into the maelstrom of battle. Okay. I don't know if I want to raid Reichenbach either. It seems kind of mean to be raiding the Empress's future territories, but I guess should we hunt down the Prussian army here? Fighting a lot of battles, and the day the sort of campaign season is wearing on. Oh, Bunzelwitz! Well, there's an easy raiding target. We'll raid them here in a second if we don't get annihilated in this battle. Okay, let's do it. But I will not pretend there have not been disorders. Yeah. Okay, here we go. I feel like I might actually come up from the right this time. Try to get up here. Yeah, it seems good. I think I'd prefer doing my office hours like this. I think this is definitely the right call. I'm sure the university wouldn't mind. Absolutely, Ryan. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Good luck with your ironing. Alright, here we go. Nope, not exactly. That's a good question, Andrew. So they're the chef or the inhaber of each regiment gives the regiment his name. So, like the colonel, basically, or we would in English say the colonel proprietor of these units is the reason why they have names like McGuire or Teuchmeister, or that's not actually true in the case of Teuchmeister, but Brown or Wallace or Cerimon. That's at least true in the case of the actual Austrian regiments in these in the army. And so, like for example, here we have Herzog Joseph. This is Archduke Joseph, the future Prince Joseph II of Austria, is the colonel proprietor of this unit. So it's named after him. And the numbers, I actually can't recall immediately off the top of my head when Austria introduces the numbering system. It's in some cases in the 18th century, they're actually used in the period. In other cases, they're kind of retroactive numbers that you read back into this. But yeah, that's why you see the names that you do. that's a good question, Sasha. I would say not to a huge degree. Although, obviously, in the case of like the Grenadiers, you actually probably see more of the parent regiment in peacetime than you do in a wartime environment. But as far as like the brigade organization, you probably see the other East Prussian regiments more, but more training happens during the spring and fall maneuvers than just kind of like brigades out in peacetime, and most brigades are temporary formations based upon the commanding officer, as opposed to being a permanent thing that's even maintained in wartime, much less peacetime. So they're not a huge degree. Now there are units that kind of know each other. In Barsovich's memoir, The 7 Years' War, he's in Marink, which is, I want to say 26, and I references a couple of units that he says, oh yeah, we're normally brigaded together with these guys. He kind of gets to know these other units in the course of the war, so it's not like no attachments form, but maybe less than in the Napoleonic period, or certainly in the modern military. Okay, let's go around with the dragoons. Yeah, I'm getting clobbered here. Okay. Yeah, so that's an interesting question. I think that just because you're grouped into a brigade doesn't necessarily mean that like the brigade is always together in peacetime. But like the French army, I think by 1778 is starting like a more standard brigade and divisional organization. So yeah, it is definitely evolving in the course of the 18th century, and there are different practices in different nations. But I do think that one of the areas where Napoleonic historians rightly say there's some differences between the 18th century world and the Napoleonic world is like the permanence of divisions and brigades. I will say it's been fascinating. I put on Twitter some pictures of the uniform drawings of the Polish army from 1775, and the range of responses to that has been very intriguing. The Commonwealth gets a lot of hate in a way that I'm not sure is totally justified. Ooh, crunch. That's a good question. No, I think there are definitely theorists who have problems with the current system, but I do think it's that's great. Come to that in a second. I do think there are more. There goes the first line. I do think there are more writers in the French army who, after 1763, say, "Man, we've really got to switch things up. What we have is not working." Than in the Prussian case, and I also think that although Frederick is certainly trying to solve this problem through the things like the first partition of Poland, Prussia is also kind of like geographically not super contiguously linked up, and so it's the East Prussians are probably training more with East Prussians, and the folks, certainly the folks out in like the kind of like border war little tiny provinces out in like in the Prussian West are not training much for the rest of the army, maybe except for the fall maneuvers. So there's I think Peter Perret has a summary of like Prussian intellectual trends before the disaster in 1806 and even before the 1790s. I'll look through that and see if I can't come up with a more complete answer of who is pushing for more permanent brigades, but there are certainly, especially after 1786, there are reform-minded officers who say, yeah, we can't just keep we can't keep things rolling as they are. That's not just gonna work. Which they're pretty right about. Okay, so we've won there. So that's really cool that you reenact. Oh yeah, exactly right. You reenact the Prussian Army in the 1740s. Are you which unit are you in? Is it? I know there's people who do the is it the 4th Regiment of the Crown Army in the 1740s. Tomasz has just come out with his book on that, or at the very least, he's just sent it to me. I don't know if it's just come out or not. Yeah. So do you think that, like, are there actual accounts of the for example, like the folks who are dressed up like Janissaries? Did they actually have those uniforms? Or are they just? Is it just kind of? They would be wearing something very, very different in real life as opposed to that. You're with the 2nd. Okay, interesting. So you're in the same unit as Tomasz. Excellent. That's really cool. And are you all based in? Like where is that unit in the 18th century? Like where do you all do events? All over Poland? Okay, sure. So it's like a ceremonial unit for the hetman as opposed to an actual like infantry unit. I'm hoping to have Tomasz on the podcast here before too long. We'll see. We'll see if he's able to squeeze that in. As far as the Raspa images. Do you think that the do you think that like the units actually did have different caps for the grenadiers? So like a brass fronted cap versus a sort of like a fur faced cap, or is that something that Raspa kind of just makes up? Oh, keep going here. And you all just did Titsen, right? I want to say that Tomasz was just messaging me that he was going to be out of the country for that. Who's left? Either just these guys over here. There we go. Incredible. Hopefully we'll get some money from this. Oh, interesting. Okay. So, I mean, that would kind of match what other nations are doing with caps at this time, right? I mean, that's sort of what the British are transitioning to. I think Tomasz has written on my blog before and like used a picture of Polish grenadiers from the earlier part of the century. I mean, you do have metal-fronted grenadier caps depicted in art, at least, from the early part of the 18th century. That's going away though by the 1770s. Let's get some more guys, I guess. I took a lot of losses there. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Oh no, I got one of my officers killed. That's unfortunate. Those were proper miners. Oh no. Okay. Do you not like fur? Are you not a fan of the fur? Before the 1770s. Okay. Yeah, I know different folks have their favorite kind of images and aesthetics. When do you think? So I don't know if you saw, maybe on Twitter you saw I posted the Raspa images, and a lot of people came back with Poland never won a battle in all of the 1700s, or the Polish army is horrible. When do you think in the course of the 18th century that Poland is decisively fallen behind militarily? Like when is the last point that the Polish army could have stopped like the first partition in like the 1740s or the 1750s, or like before the Prussians, like say if Saxony had managed to take Silesia, could things, when is the last point that this could have been avoided, do you think? Some officers too. It'd be nice if we could just find some officers basically completely unskilled that are cheap, but I don't know that I'm going to get that lucky here. Take you as well. Yeah. All right. Now we're basically out of money. Maybe one more. I don't know if we can afford that. Let's see. Yeah. Because isn't there a big reform in the same of 17? Like I don't know Polish history, military history very well because we don't have a lot of great books on it in English, and as I was saying on the stream yesterday, I don't speak Polish. Isn't that when the Crown Army is created, or like the last big change to the Crown Army is happening in 1717? But they never ended up going off until Stanislaw Augustus's reign. That introduced a ton of very important reforms. So is the army is changing a lot, like at the same time as like the Constitution of May 3rd, or is it right after the first partition? Like when are those reforms happening? All right, let's replace the stiff jackets with actual gracier because we want to try and turn them into gracier. 70, yeah, sure. The second partition or third could very well be stopped. Yeah. That's interesting. I looked a bit at the War of Polish Succession in my book that came out in January, but really just the fighting in Italy between the French and the Piedmontese Sardinians and the Habsburgs on the other side. With Tomasz's help correcting my very, very horrible translation, I have a little bit from one Polish infantry officer who was fighting in the war in Poland, but that's the only Polish voice I had in the book. So we can just sell that stuff and keep this stuff. Sell this probably. Great. And now maybe buy that and probably another officer. If we can afford it. In 64. Yeah. The War of the Bar Confederation is a huge part of the story, and one that we occasionally think of in America because it's where we get Kazimierz Pulaski. Yeah, in my Eastern Europe, early modern Eastern Europe class that I teach at Franciscan, we do that is the period of Polish history we kind of focus on in an in-class exercise is the Bar Confederation War to the first partition. Okay, let's get out into the world again here. Yeah, so this officer describes skirmishing with, I think, Russians maybe from far off with artillery, and then taking cover behind some trees, but there wasn't a lot of action in that source. Let's just burn this town down. No children were harmed in the making of this movie. Yeah. Oh, and there's winter. Interesting. Provisions, campaign move speed, campaign visibility. Oh boy. So I guess we should probably try and get on with this campaign, maybe. Okay, did we burn down the town? Yeah, absolutely. Oh, my. There's a big Prussian army. Oh, this should be interesting. This is probably the last one I'll do, and then we'll be done for the day. Oh. Let's see if we can promote anyone before I go into battle. Are these guys still recruits? Yeah. There's a war game convention in the United States where we have someone who does battles from the the War of 1794, and actually in the most recent year the Poles won one of these battles. How did Prussia actually afford their army before the Seven Years' War? Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, they saved a lot of money. They controlled riverine trade in a lot of important transiting rivers in Central Europe. I mean, if you want to shift stuff down the Elbe, you've got to do it through Silesia, and yeah, this is important. During that war, there was Brit subsidies, but I'm not sure how they would afford their army prior. Well, the army is a lot smaller when Frederick takes the throne. It's only 80,000 men. So it's sort of a combination of, and there's a big scholarly debate about this, but there's not a lot of corruption in the Prussian administration. At least that's the more traditional narrative, and you also see the king kind of like, they don't fight a lot of wars in the period between 1713 and 1740. I mean, they're involved a bit in the War of Polish Succession, but it's Frederick William I is a bit more of like a spendthrift and doesn't waste a lot of money, and also there's not maybe a huge amount of Prussian court bureaucracy, and so unlike by really budgeting well, they're able to afford an army of 80,000 guys, and then once Frederick takes the throne, the conquest of Silesia brings a huge windfall, because there are mines in Silesia. It's the center of like a linen trade in part of Europe. You can use the Oder to kind of ship goods back and forth. So that to some extent, that explains how the army is able to expand before the 7 Years' War. And then once they're in the 7 Years' War, Frederick has a lot of money saved from the time of his father. To some extent, they were really, really frugal in the period before Frederick. Frederick spends more money on the army. He also spends a lot of money trying to sort of fix the state after the 7 Years' War. All right. Well, if I survive this, it's going to be a miracle. So let's see what we can do here. Oh. Yeah, it's more of an army that is big but not crazy large in the period between 1713 and 1740. And Frederick's conquest of Silesia kind of accelerates that process and makes that and all the money that his father has saved up enable him to survive the 7 Years' War until he gets the British subsidies. And also, I mean, we've been talking a little bit about war crimes on this stream, but you can just kind of use Saxony like steal everything that's not tied down in Saxony, and that pays for a great deal of the 7 Years' War, in addition to what the British are giving through the subsidies. Okay. Well, here we go. I think we're going to kind of loop around and stay in cover. Yeah, exactly. I mean, what is the quote? It's Christoph, yes? I think it's Christoph. What is it, the quote from Frederick? Saxony is like an old sack. When you hit it, something always falls out. I think is he literally writes this at one point. So it's that, and armies are also remarkably cheap currency-wise by the 1700s. Say more, Sasha. You mean you pay for a lot of stuff with credit, or what? What are you trying to say there? Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. No, I think you're absolutely right about that. Yeah, I mean, also, I mean, they develop a pretty ingenious system of like devolving the costs onto the military entrepreneur, right? So I mean, the captain gets stuff from the state, but also is kind of the middleman in some ways. This helps to a great degree. Okay, where are these guys going over here? Probably. Absolutely, Virus Guy. I hope I'm glad Griff recommended you come over, and I hope you're enjoying the release of the game. To put things in comparison, the British enlisted man makes 1 point. Yeah, oh, that's really interesting. That's really interesting. Just because there's no comparable system of requisitions in the 1630s, or like, where does that change come from? Based on surveys they would do and valuations. Yeah. Zero power, yeah, sure. As to a note how the Prussian army was fielded, the Prussian had land based on surveys. This is true. Yeah, I mean the state centralization that you see happening in Prussia from the time of the Great Elector on, it helps to explain some of these questions and these differences. I mean the once you the estates have less bargaining power. You can do more, even if maybe absolutism as a whole, and in Prussia particularly, has maybe been overdrawn. Zero bargaining right. So the fact that especially once you get to the 1730s, the soldiers are conscripts, maybe 50% of them, as opposed to people who have the ability to bounce between army and army. That's what creates the change. Whereas a German soldier in the 1630s can say, hey, I'm not getting paid well here. I'm going to go fight for another army instead. So the market price for infantry wages crater over the century, but not cavalry. Yeah, for sure. That makes sense. Much harder to compare over time due to things like payments and the man's rental price for his horse. Yeah, for sure. Have you read the German Military Enterpriser? I wonder if there's anything more recent that I should look at in terms of that transition period between mercenary armies and state controlled armies. Okie dokie. so this is going okay, but once their artillery open up, I'm gonna be in a really bad way. Where is all their cavalry? That's really interesting. I wonder why their cavalry always deploys like in the middle with their artillery. That's a kind of a weird thing. The one they got here, veteran musketeers, yeah. Guys trained to deploy a line of specialists, but it's possible, yeah. It's possible. So early on, people kept sniping artillery with cavalry. Oh, that's really cool. Sniping artillery with cavalry. So like, do you mean like the artillery would deploy out in front, and then the cavalry would, like come and get them, or what? Like, and this was human players doing this to the AI? Because I mean, traditionally you put the cavalry on the wings and try to avoid that. No playtesters. Okay, interesting. So they're there to like defend the artillery. There you go. So to counter that, Griff had it so the enemy AI cavalry starts defending the artillery. Okay, interesting. We're not getting walloped by their artillery as hard as I thought we would, but maybe they're not using it all yet. It's a bit rudimentary at the moment, so I just prefer to choose a user. Bet those sweepstake games with human player limited all the yeah, sure. That is interesting. Yeah, Sasha, you still here? How is it? Like, I've not played Empire Total War in a while. I wonder how the pace of battle and the AI responds differently to that. Yeah, there you are. You played Empire or Napoleon recently? Do you game much anymore? I mean, I know you have a real person day job that you have to go do. In Empire Total War, the AI usually puts cavalry on the flanks. Yeah, but they also try to defend already if in danger. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. Well, if you're not doing that, who is going to punish the warlords? So that's an important thing that you're doing there. Too bad the AI can't handle forming infantry units walk into each other. Yeah, interpenetration is kind of a issue. All right, let's. Oh, the cannons are gone. That's great. Oh. Okay. I guess we could move you guys up. Yeah. Honestly, I suspect AI overhaul at some point. For most of playtesting, the AI was a conga line of units into fortified positions. Okay, alright, interesting. Yeah, I think from the early builds that Griffin showed me, I do think there has been some real improvement. Oh, we got the Prussian lifeguards over here. That's really neat. That's a lot of fun. What do you know? Okay, so here come the Prussian veteran Grenadiers. This should be fun. Oh, which artillery is? Maybe. Well, I can get the cannons again? Oh, you still have something with you. Okay. Alright, yeah. There we go. Alright, so we won that one. We're going to get in between these units, maybe. Hopefully so. Okay, so there go the Kreutzer. Question, when I was watching this, why was Von Don so cautious all the time? Yeah, so this is actually kind of a little bit, I would say, more like propaganda. He is not super cautious all the time, and I don't like historians frequently have beef with each other, and one of the guys who I don't always agree with his characterizations of the period is a scholar up in Canada named Franz Szabo, who wrote a book called, The 7 Years' War in Europe, which came out in like 2008, and basically said Frederick the Great was not a very good general and made a lot of mistakes, and victories were responsible, for, other guys in the Prussian army were responsible for the victories, not Frederick. And I think a lot of that was a bit much, but one of the points that he did make in the course of the book is Dawn was not a super cautious general and did take risks and attack the enemy. I mean, you can look at what happens at Maxen and Hochkirch. I mean, these are moments, even Liegnitz, although that doesn't really work very well. These are moments where things are working out in Dawn's favor, where he's taking risks, where he's taking the offensive. Frederick also, will decline battle at times. But the real core of the issue is you are in a situation where you're up against a very kind of dangerous and serious opponent, who his army moves very quickly. The Austrians write that if you think Frederick is 2 days march away, he'll probably be there in one. Or actually, I think the quote is like, if you think he's 4 marches away, he'll be on you in 2. So they know his army moves very quickly. And they're worried that they're going to be kind of caught unawares and unprepared, and he's going to annihilate them. And so it makes sense for we sort of with that knowledge in mind. Are we stuck in melee? What's happening? With that knowledge in mind, to just kind of say, wow, his army moves very quickly. His army has defeated us in some major battles in the war. Why don't we kind of, play things safe and try to avoid getting like whooped up on. And so you do see there are a lot of battles where Dawn is defending. I mean, to some extent, I think it comes back to the fact that he's the first general in the history of these wars, both the War of Austrian Succession and the 7 Years' War, where he's not lost, right? So like at Kolin, he's the first general to defeat Frederick. Period. Now you could say really Frederick didn't win at what is it? At Malvitz, it's really Marshal Schwerin who's kind of doing all the heavy lifting there, and that's probably true. But I think the fact that he wins at Kolin with a defensive battle is, he's trying to reproduce that success, and maybe it's a bit of fault. Right now, I'm working on a book on George Washington. He's a lot like Dawn. People in 18th century Germany call Dawn the German Fabius. People in 18th century America call Washington the American Fabius. Both are referencing, obviously, like classical history and the Punic Wars. But it's sort of a, if it's not broke, don't fix it kind of mentality, which is not maybe always daring and exciting. But if you're looking for an Austrian general who maybe is taking risks and trying to whoop up on the Prussians a bit more and do kind of crazy stuff, I mean, definitely look into Ernst Gideon von Lauden. He's a great guy for that. Oh yeah, well, I mean, just because you outnumber the enemy doesn't necessarily mean like you're the. Like in Empire Total War. Have you played Total War? Where like you have like a the bar that tells you like what chance you have to win if you auto resolve the battle. So even though the Austrians are sometimes outnumbering the Prussians, they feel like, man, we're just kind of hanging on. We might not win this, and so there's almost like a psychological disadvantage that they're under for a lot of these battles. They're trying to overcome that. So, I mean, I think these can help explain why they're being a little bit more cautious in the course of the 7 Years' War. And if you want some great stuff from the Austrian perspective, look at Christopher Duffy's By Force of Arms. He really kind of examines the war from that Austrian perspective. My keyboard is shorted out here. Let me try and figure out what's going on. What you hope for in the middle of a stream. There we go. Absolutely, my pleasure. I'm glad you finally helped. Are you in the States? Are you over in Europe? Where are you coming in from? Oh, Canada! No way! Whereabouts in Canada? My family's from Cobalt, up in Ontario. Although, I mean, I say that like that's where my grandfather was from, not like anytime super recent. Oh, no way! Yeah, in my World War II class. I mentioned that before the break. A good analogous is Grant 64. Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. I mean, it's a psychological, you know, terror that these guys are laboring under. Whether it's people who are in their own head about Robert E. Lee or people who are in their own head about Frederick. I mean, I do think that like probably man for man, the Prussian army is a little bit better than. How do I rate Pursuit of Glory as an overview for this period? I like it a lot. I mean, Tim Blanning is great. I guess I would say there are probably more detailed, like, tactical histories for the middle of the 18th century than just than that. But if you're looking for like how does the early modern world work, in addition to like how do early modern armies work a bit, Tim Blanning is one of the living legends for historians of this generation, and yeah, I would definitely recommend his stuff. It's great. I have a bad feeling about this. Oh no! Wow, man, what do you know? They were just blinded by the sight of my bright red pants. I guess we'll attribute that to the victory there. Yeah, man, it's all about the Hungarian type pants. It's really the best part of life. Man, who's over here? The lifeguards? They have like a whole nother unit of lifeguards? Get out! This is nuts. What is that unit of lifeguards doing? Yeah, morale cascades are kind of interesting in this game. I feel like they happen sometimes and they don't happen other times. I mean, you would think that a lot of the Prussian army has been whooped up on this point. They might retreat, but I guess you gotta go in and break them individually. Okay, that is weird. What do you mean specifically? Yeah, I mean it absolutely does, Christoph. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I do It's and Blitz in the States, but I think if I had to do another, it feels like the main problem is the game doesn't really model panic. So I guess I'll say, Sasha, it does in some battles. Like there was a battle that I did on the stream yesterday, and the like guys watching the stream actually said, "Wow, there's a real morale cascade," because like it went right down the line, and like all the guys panicked and ran away. So it feels like it happens sometimes and doesn't happen in others. And I guess I have to go and somehow get rid of this Prussian unit of lifeguards. So maybe we'll have the artillery come do this, because I really don't want to like mix it up with the Prussian lifeguard, because I feel like I already did that once this battle. All right. Yeah, but yeah, I would say maybe. I mean, if it sounds like one of the things they're thinking about is like taking another look at the AI, perhaps taking a look at how morale cascades work wouldn't be a bad idea. I didn't have a single unit run away. It's like a first for me. And I feel like this has been harder than average as far as the battles I do. There's supposed to be a morale cascade, but it's not high enough. Means like, yeah. So maybe it's just that they're so brave. Like this is just choline, and they're just taking it. Yeah, I would agree with that, Sasha. That it's really good in that game. And it was, I will say, the battle that happened yesterday was kind of like that, but it was like lower tier units. So I wonder if maybe it works better for lower tier units and not the fanatically loyal Prussian lifeguard here, which I don't think they probably were historically. There were a lot of kind of foreigner troops in the lifeguard in real life, like Italians and French recruits, things like that. But certainly in the game here, they are ranked very highly, and they do pretty well at Leuten. So I think there's probably some justification for that. Okay, but yeah, they're just kind of standing there. Nothing like having Orcs and Goblin army totally rout on turn 1 because the unit routed due to casualties from squabbling under the 6th edition rules. Yes. 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 I also played 6th edition all the way up to grad school. We had, after the whole Age of Sigmar situation, we had a group in grad school that just played Warhammer Fantasy 6th edition. I did Empire and Lizardmen, and other guys did like Bretonia or High Elves or so I would say as a whole, Virus Guy, the Prussian army, there's a lot of foreigners in the Prussian army, and some of them desert after the campaign begins in 57, but I would say you probably only have 2/3 native Prussians in the army as a whole, and there are people who kind of like criticize the Prussian army for this in the 18th century, but certainly the native Prussians are very loyal and they care very deeply about the army they're fighting in, and you see this in comments from some of the foreign men, like the Swiss soldier Ulrich Breaker, who says our native Prussians and Brandenburgers sprang on the enemy like furies at the Battle of Lovositz, which is one of my favorite quotes. Oh, here they come! Oh boy, I'm sure this will turn out great here. All right, Torchmeister, you can go and hit him from that side. Okay, I'm going to reform here. Ooh, the worst line regiment. Oh. Okay, so I'm gonna have you slow your roll against Catholics there, Christoph. I'm just having some money at your expense. Yeah, for a while there are rumors that like Winterfeld is shot in the back by Upper Silesian Catholics at the Battle of Moise, right? But yeah, I would say there are some questions on lingering questions about these Upper Silesian Catholic regiments and whether or not they actually shoot old Winterfeld in the back. It's kind of an open question there. Okay, I'm probably going to be done there because we're going to go out on a high note. A battle I was expecting to get absolutely stomped in, we won, and made a lot of money. So we won at Bunzelwitz. I will say I do not anticipate winning this campaign as a whole, but maybe we'll try and keep... I'll pick this up maybe next weekend sometime. I've got to actually go do my real job during the week next week, and not all weeks have a nice 2-day break for All Saints. But I hope you enjoyed the stream, and if you have more questions about Prussia with the 7 Years' War, the Prussian Army, feel free to tune in next week. You can find me on Twitter. I also do a a podcast. Prime and Load. You can find it on like Apple Podcasts or Spotify. So definitely look us up there. It's me and a British historian, Dr. Andrew Bamford, and our like host and sort of modern veteran Lee Gugino. Well, folks, glad you enjoyed it. If you, I guess I'm just obligated, like, to say, if you want more, you can buy my book, Infantry in Battle, by Alexander Burns. Hope you enjoyed the stream, and I'll see you next time we do this. Have a good night. Have a good rest of your Sunday.